Well, I would say good morning, but I was not able to do this in the morning. So good evening. And it's raining. I do apologize. You know, it happens. We get busy, Excuse me. Well, let's look at Psalms 37 verse 23 and 24. More of his promises. The steps of a good and righteous man are directed and established by the Lord, and he delights in his way and blesses his path. When he falls, he will not be hurled down. In the NKJV, the New King James, it says, he shall not be utterly cast down. Because the Lord is the one who holds his hand and sustains him. Now look at this. When we have steps of righteousness, he points out, he will direct and establish in his way. And then he points out that we will fall at times, but he is there to pick us up. Now, I noticed that he says when when we will fall. That's encouraging to me because that tells me that I'm not perfect and he knows that, right? So the promise here is because we are trying to walk in that righteousness, when we lean on Jesus and we know that we're not perfect and we try to be in that righteousness and we're asking God for the strength to do that and lead us, he's there to sustain us and help us. Even in that fall. He is not there waiting to strike us because we mess up. I mean, have you noticed with each promise? Yes, we must do something in certain things. We don't have to do things on our own. And yes, we must make the choice to do the things that he's showing us. But here is the encouraging part of that. We don't have to do these things on our own. Here's what I mean. Okay. There are promises that he has that is just that. He promises this thing. But there are those things that he has a promise if we would do this. Not wanting you to say that he's making a condition out of a conditional love. That's not it at all. God is unconditional. What this promise or having these promises there and what they mean is this. So if you're telling your child, look, I promise you, if you do it this way, it's going to be a whole lot easier. Not always is it not going to have a challenge, because sometimes there are challenges either way. But if you tell them the outcome will be a better deal for you, then yes. He wants you to choose to do something for that promise to be a perfect promise, right? But he's not telling you to make this choice on your own strength. Think about this. He will sustain us even if we fall. And he's not expecting you to when you make the choice to do what he's telling you to do, you're making the choice. That's a first step. In that step, though, he doesn't expect you to do it on your own. He's there to help you, right? We cannot follow through unless we have Him. Okay? Unless we have His strength. I don't want to do anything without His strength anyways. I mean, to me it doesn't make sense because I'm human. I'm not perfect. We can, however, in and with His. The promise of looking at what we need to do to get a promise. Getting a promise without having to do anything, but in those things, in His promises, we don't have to get that promise without His strength. Now, the promise here that we're talking about today is walking in His righteousness, and He will be there to catch us, even if we fall, right? Don't go through reading the Word. Don't go through expecting to do things on your own. Ask God, Holy Spirit, teach me what your Word is teaching me. And yes, I said how I said it. Teach me how to learn from your Word. Teach me. Walk in God's righteousness, and He will sustain you. We're not perfect. We're human. We do fall. But how many times are you going to get back up? His promise is He will be there to sustain you. God bless you. See you Thursday.